Week 2 in the NFL has concluded, and I'll be honest with y'all, DraftKings absolutely fleeced me this week. I mean, those CEOs are puffing on their giant cigars, sipping on their $1,000 whiskey, and they're laughing at my expense as I went 4-12 on my predictions over this weekend. 1-4 on my locks, 1-3 on my upsets. Overall, that brings me to 15-17 on the year. I'm pretty ashamed of that, I'll be honest. That was terrible. I mean, obviously don't bet on all these football games, but just for my pride, you know? I'm someone that thinks I know football. I clearly know nothing at this point, all right? I am a peon, and I need to get my shit together, so hopefully week 3 gonna be a get-right week for me to steer the ship. And, you know, week 1 I went 11-5. I actually thought that wasn't that great, but for week 1, it's something to build off of. And I showed up week 2, I laid an egg. So this week, I didn't even look at the lines until after I made the predictions. And hopefully that will result in something better. All right, so let's get started with Thursday Night Football. The New England Patriots go into MetLife Stadium to take on Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. The Jets at this moment are favored by 6.5 points, and they're coming off of a win versus the Titans, won that game by 7, and the New England Patriots are coming off of an overtime loss against the Seahawks. My prediction in this game is the Jets win 23-17. I don't have a ton of confidence in that. I'm 0-2 on Thursday Night Football so far, but I have confidence in Aaron Rodgers. He's looked all right since returning. Not a ton of confidence, though, because the Jets' offense still iffy last week. The Patriots, I just don't think that they have the manpower to win this game, but we'll see what happens. That being said, let's move to Sunday, the 1 o'clock games, starting with the New York Giants, who are 0-2, headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns, who are 1-1 and are 6-point favorites. The Giants are coming off of a loss last week against Washington. I picked them to win, but of course, they lost their kicker. How does a kicker get hurt and not return? And Cleveland is coming off of an upset win against Jacksonville, really sticking it in their face that they decided to call their stadium Trevor Banks Stadium. I mean, you just deserve to lose for that bullshit right there. But I'm taking Cleveland in this game. I think the Giants are still better than what people think. However, they just can't figure out how to win. Daniel Jones gets so much goddamn hate. I feel so bad for him. I feel like he's a good quarterback. Not a great quarterback, but give me Cleveland, 20-17. Next up, we got the Denver Broncos, who are 0-2, headed into Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, who are 2-0. Tampa Bay is -7. This is a lock for me. Denver is coming off of a loss versus the Steelers. Bo Nix, he really struggled. He hasn't really looked good so far. And Tampa Bay, they're coming off of a win at Detroit. Hard-fought, impressive victory. No question here. Tampa Bay is the better team. And until Bo Nix shows me something, I can't sit here and act like he's going to have any chance to take on another stout defense like the Bucs defense. Give me Tampa Bay 28-10 in a lock. All right, next up, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 2-0, headed into Pittsburgh for their home opener, who is also 2-0. Pittsburgh favored by 1.5 points. LA's coming off of a win against the Carolina Panthers. Pittsburgh's coming off of a win at Denver. 2, I would say, minorly unimpressive wins. Hard to predict this game, but I went back and forth on it a little bit. Give me the Chargers. All right, I think the Chargers have more firepower than Pittsburgh has faced all year. I think their offense will struggle a little bit, but, you know, and also with Pittsburgh, I don't know who's starting. Whether it's Fields or Wilson, Give me the Chargers 20-14. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles against the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, Philly, that tough loss last night to the Falcons. I mean, you had that game in your hands. You had it. Saquon Barkley, who balled all night, drops a wide open pass. And then that classic Vic Fangio prevent defense. Any veteran quarterback's going to pick that bullshit apart. And Kirk Cousins did that. And therefore, the Atlanta Falcons got the win. And New Orleans, they absolutely beat the piss out of the Dallas Cowboys, which is why they're favored in this game. But I'm going to take the upset here. I think Philly needs a bounce-back game. And New Orleans, they got to come back down to earth, all right? They ain't got no business being that good. Give me Philly 30-29. All right, next up, we got C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, who are 2-0, headed to Minnesota to take on Sam MVP Darnold and the 2-0 Vikings. Houston, 2.5-point favorites on the road at the moment. They're coming off of a win against the Bears on Sunday Night Football, and Minnesota with that huge upset against San Francisco. Justin Jefferson should be playing. And look, I didn't believe in Minnesota at all this year. I took them to lose both of their first two games. Consider me a believer now, all right? That Brian Flores defense looking just as good as ever. They don't let no bullshit by them. Houston's offense hasn't been fantastic to this point this year. For that reason, give me Minnesota 24-20 in an upset. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers, who are 2-0, headed to Tennessee to take on the 0-2 Titans. Tennessee's 3-point favorites, solely because Green Bay should be without Jordan Love for a second straight week. But that meant nothing last week. Green Bay got a win against the Colts, and Tennessee lost to the New York Jets. It was a really ugly game. Will Levis, he's got a lot of good physical attributes, but the brains haven't been there to this point in his career. And Green Bay is just a well-coached team. Doesn't matter who's at the helm. They'll figure it out. For that reason, give me the Green Bay Packers 21-14 in Tennessee. All right, next up, we got Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, who are 1-1, headed to Indianapolis to take on the 0-2 Colts. Indianapolis is favored by 1 single point in this game. Chicago's coming off that loss against Houston. Caleb Williams has struggled to this point in his career. And Indianapolis, they're coming off of that loss to Green Bay. That was a really ugly one that they were supposed to win. The way I see this game is Indy just has the experience. Anthony Richardson has a little more experience than Caleb Williams. And Caleb, well, he's very talented. I won't deny that. He hasn't shown that he is seeing the whole field as well as some veteran quarterbacks do. And for that reason, give me the Indianapolis Colts 24-20. They need a win much more than Chicago. All right, now to kick off the 4 o'clock games, we got the Carolina Panthers headed into Vegas to take on the Raiders, who are 1-1, coming off of a huge upset against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. They're currently 5.5-point favorites. And for the Panthers, they have benched Bryce Young. Therefore, we'll see Andy Dalton starting. I see a lot of people are hating on this decision. They think Bryce Young hasn't been given the proper chance to be a good quarterback. I disagree. I think from what we've seen from Bryce Young to this point, I have zero confidence he's going to be able to be anything other than maybe a backup in the NFL. I sort of seen that even at Alabama. A lot of the plays he made were really off schedule, running to the outside, and then someone's wide open down the sidelines. Listen, this isn't college where you're Alabama taking on Middle Tennessee. This is the NFL, and the guys on the other side are also big-time players, and that Bryce Young style of ball has not translated to the NFL. And I think that inserting Andy Dalton to the mix will help out the Panthers tremendously. All right, because these players, they need an opportunity. All right, and if you continue to play a quarterback who literally just can't get it done, you're going to lose the whole locker room. And if you're the coach, you're going to lose your job. I mean, you probably will anyway, but that being said, I still think we get a lock here. All right, I think the Raiders are going to win this one 31-26. However, I think Carolina is going to be a little bit better with Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, at the helm. Moving on, we have the Miami Dolphins, who are 1-1 and will be led by Skylar Thompson, headed into Seattle to take on the 2-0 Seahawks. The Seahawks are currently 4.5-point favorites, and Miami's coming off of a loss to Buffalo. They're not going to have Tua for who knows how many weeks. And Seattle, they're coming off of that OT win against New England. Listen, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this game. I will say that as far as Tua retiring goes, he should be back in the next couple of weeks. But we'll see. As far as this game goes, give me Seattle 20-17. I don't trust Skylar Thompson, so I can't take the Dolphins in this game. All right, next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers, who are 1-1, taking on the Los Angeles Rams, who are 0-2. San Fran is 7-point favorites at the moment. San Francisco coming off of that loss to the Vikings, where Justin Jefferson beat them for a 97-yard touchdown. And Los Angeles, they got absolutely creamed by Arizona. I do expect them to play a better game. However, San Fran, they got a rebound off of that last game as well. Give me San Fran 34-17, and give me a lock on this one. I'm guaranteeing that. All right, next up, we got the Detroit Lions headed into Arizona. Detroit is 2.5-point favorites. Detroit's coming off of that loss to the Buccaneers, where Hutchinson, he had, 5.5 sacks? I mean, he had an amazing game. Arizona dominated the Rams. Kyler Murray had an amazing game. The outcoming party of Marvin Harrison Jr. However, give me Detroit in this game. I think they need this one 37-35. The reason I'm taking Detroit is because I can't put too much stock in that one game by Arizona. They always play the Rams well. So, yeah, until I see it happen again, I can't fully get on board with the Cardinals. All right. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are 0-2, headed to Dallas to take on the 1-1 Cowboys. This one should be interesting. The Baltimore Ravens are coming off of that loss against Las Vegas. No business losing that game. They had so many opportunities. And Dallas, they got absolutely washed by the New Orleans Saints. No one's seen that coming. So one of these two teams has to get right. All right? And for me, I went back and forth a little bit, and I got to take Dallas. I think Baltimore's going to fall to 0-3, and that's not me saying they're a bad team. They're a really good team, but I think Dallas is going to rebound off of that really tough performance they've had. Plus, they're staying home. Ravens getting on the road, coming down to Dallas. Dallas wins 23-22. All right, and now for Sunday Night Football. The 2-0 Kansas City Chiefs head into Atlanta, the 1-1 Falcons. Kirk Cousins coming off of that game-winning drive against the Eagles. And Kansas City, they got that win over Cincinnati, and they're 3.5-point favorites. Listen, give me Kansas City in this game. I don't need to spend too much time on it. Atlanta, they're better than I think I anticipated so far. I thought they would lose that game to Philadelphia. But this is a step up in competition. Philadelphia has plenty of holes, and their skill positions still moved well against the Falcons. They won't get away with it against the Chiefs. Give me Kansas City 38-20. All right, now for that Monday Night Football doubleheader, starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 0-2, taking on the Buffalo Bills, who are 2-0. Buffalo 5.5-point favorites. Jacksonville coming off of a loss to the Cleveland Browns at Trevor Bank Stadium. Listen, I can't... Ever since they played Miami, for some reason, I've been able to see way more of Jaguars Twitter than I ever wanted to. I don't know why it's being recommended to me, but they're all trying to convince themselves that Trevor Lawrence is this top 5 quarterback, and now they're naming the stadium Trevor Bank for the home opener. And to top it off, you score 13 points. You deserve nothing more. Nothing more for that fan base. I mean, they're sitting there celebrating losses and trying to be like, yeah, even though we lost, it's obvious our quarterback is better than yours. Well, you're going to head into Buffalo and you're going to be 0-3. Give me the Bills 23-20. And for the final game of Week 3, we got the Washington Commanders, who are 1-1, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 0-2. This is a lock for me, all right? Washington coming off of that win against the Giants, who had no kicker, by the way. They would have won that game if they had a kicker. And the Cincinnati Bengals, tough loss against the Chiefs. They need this one. They absolutely need this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends like 40-10. But give me Cincinnati 30-23 because they need it. They need it. And I need it. I need a better week this week than I have had the past couple weeks, or at least way better than last week. But those are my predictions for Week 3 in the NFL. All right.